Before we begin, take just a second to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon. If you love rare coins, hidden treasures, and stories that connect the past to the present, this is where you need to be. Today's story isn't just about a coin. It's about legacy, rarity, and the incredible possibility that a small piece of metal can carry a value you wouldn't believe. Now, let's wind the clock back to 1954. It's post-war South Africa, a time of shifting politics, cultural change, and economic tension. Amid this, a single coin was struck that would, decades later, ignite the curiosity of collectors across the globe: the 1954 South Africa 5 shillings coin. To most, it looked ordinary. A silver disc featuring the elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on one side, and on the other, the proud springbok leaping forward, embodying the spirit of a nation. But to a trained eye, to someone who has seen the trends, who understands the weight of history, that coin was never ordinary. Let me paint the picture more clearly. Back then, the 5 shillings was no small coin. It was large, heavy, minted in real silver, and intended to be a crown coin, similar to what the British issued as ceremonial pieces. But in South Africa, it was both ceremonial and used in limited circulation. The production numbers were low compared to other denominations, and even fewer were preserved in pristine condition. Men of that era, miners, soldiers, tradesmen, often carried coins like this without a second thought. It might have passed through the hands of a war veteran, a farmer, or someone working the railways. These coins weren't babied or tucked into collections right away. They were used, traded, and worn, which makes finding one in excellent condition today so rare that it borders on impossible. Yes, oh, what makes this coin so special? It's not just the metal. Though made of 50% silver, the value isn't in the melt. It's in the story, the legacy, the survival, the fact that a relatively small number of these coins were minted, and even fewer survived the decades without being scratched, tarnished, or melted down. And here's where it gets more interesting. In 1954, South Africa was still part of the British Commonwealth. The coin carries the image of Queen Elizabeth II, her youthful, dignified profile capturing the optimism of the time. This was her first full year as monarch, after the passing of King George VI in 1952. Coins from her early reign are already seen as highly collectible. Combine that with a limited mintage, and you start to understand why collectors began to zero in on this piece. Now, I want you to imagine something. Let's say you're cleaning out an old drawer. Maybe it's in your garage, or in that wooden chest that belonged to your father. You find an old coin pouch. Inside it, among rusted keys and faded notes, you see a silver coin with that springbok glinting back at you. You rub it clean. You read the date, 1954, 5 shillings. At first, it seems like a neat old find. But then you notice the crispness of the design, the sharp edges, the shine. You realize it hasn't been worn down. It looks nearly untouched. What you might be holding, sir, is no pocket change. What you might be holding is a key to a hidden fortune. Because while most of these coins, in circulated condition, fetch modest collector prices, maybe a few $100s depending on grade, the story changes completely when we talk about high-grade examples. We're talking about uncirculated coins, or better yet, proofs. Coins that were struck with special dies and never intended for general use. Coins that were handled with gloves, stored with care, and now survive as pristine examples of a bygone era. Some of these proof coins, when graded and certified by experts, have broken records at auctions. The perfect combination of rarity, condition, historical value, and collector demand turns them into showstoppers. And in rare cases, especially those graded at the very top of the scale with exceptional eye appeal and provenance, the value goes beyond what most people would expect. I've spoken to dealers. I've studied the auctions. I've watched coins sit on shelves for decades, unnoticed, only to explode in value because someone finally understood what they were. This is one of those coins. It's the kind of piece that men pass down to their sons. The kind you don't just sell, you display, protect, talk about. Collectors from across the world seek the 1954 5 shillings because it marks a moment in time that can't be recreated. It's not just currency, it's a symbol of the British Crown's presence in Africa, a symbol of the transition from empire to republic, a frozen moment in silver. Now, if you're wondering whether you might have one, here's what you should look for. The date, of course, 1954. The edge should be reeded, not smooth. The coin should feel heavy real. Check the details: Queen Elizabeth's hair, the springboks muscles, the lettering. If it's crisp, with no visible wear, you may have something special. If it's mirror-like in its finish and shows no signs of having been handled roughly, you may have a proof. And if you do, then this is the part you've been waiting for, because a proof 1954 South African 5 shillings coin, in top condition, has been valued at up to 1.2 million US dollars. Yes, you heard that right, 1.2 million from a piece of silver that once bought a few loaves of bread to something that now could buy you the house you always dreamed of, the car you always wanted, or a legacy for your children. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just about money. It's about memory, meaning, and the thrill of uncovering something forgotten. So check your drawers. Ask your uncles. Go through those old boxes in the attic. Because you never know. The fortune of a lifetime could be resting quietly in your hands.